This year, I want to run the fastest 10K that I've ever run. To provide some context, I have run 3 10Ks in my life, 2 years ago and 1 last year as I was training for my half marathon. And here is how I did. Starting in August of 2022, I ran my 10K in 1 hour, 2 minutes and 22 seconds, which is a 10:04 pace. The goal of this run was to run the whole time and finish. It was my first 10K. It was the longest I had ever run. I did that and I was very proud of this time. Then about a month later, I did another 10K and the goal for this race was to get a faster time than my first race in August. And I did that too. I ran that one in 1 hour and 15 seconds with a pace of 9:42. So I was pretty proud of the time that I shaved off with just a month in between those 2 races. Then fast forward to last year, I was training for a half marathon in October. In September, I ran this same 10K and my goal was then I want to get sub 1 hour because I was really close a year ago. I'm super in shape. I can definitely do it. Just got to push a little bit. I did it. I ran it with a 9:29 pace and ran it in 58 minutes and 52 seconds. And I was super, super proud of this. So then fast forward to like January or February, you know, you get the email that's like, sign up for the race. The earlier you sign up, the cheaper it is. I thought to myself, let's sign up. I've really enjoyed this race the past 2 years. This sounds like a great idea. Well, now it's August and I haven't ran since March. And the goal is to run the fastest 10K that I've ever run. Do I think this is realistic? Probably not, but I'm gonna try. Honestly, realistically, I'll be happy if I can beat my time from last year, but this is the goal that we're gonna train for. We're gonna see how that goes. The race is in 5 weeks and I'm out of shape. I know that I have the muscles built up to be successful, but I don't know if my heart can keep up. Training plan. In this 5 weeks, every week, I'm gonna do 2 short runs and 1 long run. And that's gonna be this plan. Starting with today, I run 1.5 miles. Tuesdays and Thursdays, I'm gonna run my short run of the week, and then Saturday mornings, I'm gonna run my long run. The problem is that it's August and it is blasted hot out there right now. The last week I'll taper down a little bit. This 6.2 is the race day. I honestly think the hardest part about this is gonna be running that 4 miles. That's a little ambitious. But I know that you're supposed to like do easy runs and you're supposed to do hills and all of these things to increase your speed. You're supposed to have different types of runs that you do, but I only have 5 weeks and I'm out of shape. So we're gonna push our pace and see what happens. None of these are gonna be easy runs. Can I mentally and physically prepare myself to run a 9-minute mile for 6 miles? I have a smile on now because it hasn't started. See you in the field. 7:50 a.m. The only time in the day that I can even realistically go for a run is the morning. We are going for 1.5 miles, and honestly, this is the first day I'm running, so it's more of like a speed test. Today is gonna tell me how realistic it is to go for this 56-minute 10K and how out of shape I am. My watch broke, so I am gonna use Map My Run and hope that it is accurate. Also, I forgot my headphones, so this morning's music is brought to you by the birds. Made it to the park. Stella gets to be an off-leash dog, which she loves. And I'm about 1/2 mile in. Feeling good, honestly. Like, I can go for another mile, even though I haven't run in so long.
Distance, 1.0 miles. Average pace, 9 minutes, 32 seconds per mile.
1 mile in, I'm definitely slowing down. All right, we did it. That was very exhausting. I'm very out of shape. I could not keep that up for any longer than 1.5 miles. But the good news is pushing myself like this is just gonna make me stronger for the next run. And as my reward, fresh cold brew. Today is the shortest run of all of the runs, just 1 mile. So I'm gonna try to push my pace, even though I am still sore from 2 days ago. It was raining this morning, so we pushed off our run. It's now 10 a.m., but it's feeling pretty good out here. You ready to go for a run, girl? We did it 1 mile under 9 minutes. I can't lie though, we took 2 breaks. It was mostly downhill, but that took all of my energy to get that under 9 minutes. And I'm like, so far I cannot keep that up for 5 more miles. We still have 13 more runs to go, and we're gonna keep pushing. Oh man, down 3 miles. My stomach is so upset. I want to stop, but I'm gonna get this last mile in. I'm not gonna stop, but I'm probably gonna have to slow down a little bit. Week 1 in the books, 6.5 total miles. The 4 miles I've run today is the furthest I've run in the past 5 months. It was a little killer, but we didn't stop running. Looking at all 3 of our runs from week 1, my first run I got that 9:37 pace, which for that being the first run that I've run in a while is pretty good. Then for my mile run, I got that 8:57 pace. So hoping I can keep that up. And then for my 4 mile run, I had a 10:04 pace. But for that being just like a lot longer than I was used to running, I am honestly pretty happy with that. My first mile, I started at a 9:30 pace, which I could not keep up. Second mile was mostly uphill, so that was a 10:18 pace. Third mile was then we turned around, so that was back downhill. So I decreased that to 9:52. And then my last mile, I was starting to not feel great. My goal was to just not stop running and take it a little bit slower to finish out the 4th mile. So that was a 10:37. I'm pretty proud with how week 1 went. Obviously, I'm not at race pace yet, but for that being like the first week getting back into running, I think that's a great place to start. I increased my mileage by 3 miles this coming week, 4 more weeks to see where I can get this 10K to. So let's do it. What did you say, Stella?
Crazy dog? Were you a crazy dog on the run?
Ended at the dog park this morning. She wanted to sprint at the beginning, and then she wore herself out after a mile. And so here we are as it's starting to rain. I'm totally cheating because it's still running. I don't know why treadmills always feel so difficult. I'm not running correctly. I know I'm not. My shins hurt, my knees hurt. 2 miles down, might as well be 95 degrees in here. And now I'm gonna go get some dinner. The pace was not there. I am also chafing so bad. I never wear these kind of shorts when I'm running for that very reason. But I just wasn't thinking when I was packing about the fact that I'd have to do a run today. Sorry, get to do a run today, because this is a privilege. And I need to remind myself of that when I'm dreading it. I can blame my slow miles on this girl. Going for about 1.5 miles with her, then I'll drop her off and finish out the rest of the 3.5. Just hit 4 miles, so this is the longest run I've done so far in training. I am slow as a turtle, but just proud of getting out here. I sweat so much, and I ran out of water in my Camelback, and now I need electrolytes, but I don't have any, so I need to run to the store. I need to run, but the thought of running makes me want to not get out of bed. For last week's runs, I'll put the stats up on the screen. I was pretty slow, and honestly, I was just trying to survive all of my runs. This week, I'm dreading them. It's the week with the most amount of miles. Like today's a short run, but it's still, more than a 5K. I just dread it. I don't know how to not dread running. Like when I set these goals for myself, I do them. As in like I get out there and I actually run, but hardly ever do I actually want to run. And if I don't set goals for myself and I just try to treat running like an enjoyable activity to get outside and clear my mind, I don't go. And sometimes I like the way that I feel afterwards. I mean, most times I like the way that I feel afterwards, but it's not always worth it to me. Sometimes I just really don't want to. 3 miles this morning. Stella's still in bed, so I'm gonna run a mile and then break it up. Take Stella to the dog park and run the last 2 miles at the dog park. You want to go to the dog park? You want to go to the dog park? Come on. Oh, Yuri wants to go to the dog park too. That's a good girl. That's a good girl. All right, let's go. She lost me. Now she's looking for me. Are you done? She was just sitting by the exit gate. All right, we got a little bit more, like 3/4 of a mile. She says she's done. She's like, Mom, I'm tired. Me too, girl. Stella is happy to be all done with our run. What, did you just get slobber on my camera? Let's talk through the week 3 stats. So for week 3, I had scheduled a 3.5, a 3, and a 6 mile run. However, over the weekend when I was supposed to do my long run, I went camping and there really was not a great place to run and the logistics were terrible. And so I thought I would just push it off. But then by the time the next week started, I knew that if I in my head I had to make up a long run, that I was gonna be really discouraged. So I decided to cut that 6 mile run and do it next week. For my 3.5 mile run, I was at an 11:10 pace. And for my 3 mile run, I was at a 12-minute pace. Neither of those paces are anywhere close to my goal pace for this 10K, but just telling myself that I just had to get through the run is what got me to go on the run. There's something about having a goal pace that makes me not want to run. In the past, I've only ever had distance goals or loose pace goals, just doing better than I've done in the past. And so while I'm in the run, I just tell myself, just keep going. Just put one foot in front of the other. It doesn't matter how slow you're going, just push forward. And that works mentally for me. Like I am able to really thrive and succeed in my runs with that mentality, but it's not good for running fast. And I think that's just something that I am learning about myself through this process. About halfway through this challenge, I really don't know if I'm going to hit that pace or not, but I am going to finish the race. I am going to run 10 kilometers. 1 mile down. It's just so pretty. It was such a pleasant run this morning, even though it was a little bit humid. We got out here by 7 a.m. to keep it a little bit cooler because it's like 95 today. And my legs are really tight, so I'm gonna go home, make sure I get a good stretch in, roll out a little bit. But I'm glad we got out this morning. Somebody's absolutely done running. Oh, there she goes. We're about 1.3 in. It was really hard to get out this morning again. I didn't want to, but I'm glad that I did. Currently at an 11:05 pace with 0.3 of a mile to go. I'm gonna try to speed up this last 0.3 and see what I can get that pace down to. I actually shaved off 22 seconds of my average pace during that last 0.3. I maintained an 8:40 mile for the last 0.3. That was pretty exciting. I feel pretty good. Let's do this thing. Is it okay if I pass? Okay. Just wanted to make sure I'm not bothering you. 1 mile down. Popular place for the deer this morning. 2 miles, a little downhill as a reward. 3 miles, which means it's Fritz next time. 4 miles in the home stretch. Well, look who it is. 5 miles, 6 miles. The best miles were mile 4 and mile 6. Now let's talk about our stats from week 4. This week I had a 2.5, a 2 mile, and then I replaced the 7 mile with last week's 6 miler for the long run. I started off the week with that 11:06 pace, and then for the 2 miler got that down to 10:43, but that was the one where I was really pushing my pace for the last 0.3 of a mile to see what I could get that average pace down to. And then for the 6 miler, I had a 10:58 pace. So what I'm finding and what I have found before is if I'm just trying to get through a run and I'm relaxed about my pace, I hover anywhere between a 10-minute mile and an 11-minute mile. And this year with starting training so recently, I'm definitely hovering closer to that 11-mile mark. I have one more week of this training. And really, that's only 2 short runs before race day. So let's be honest with ourselves. We have not been training at that 9-minute mile pace. Currently, I'm on track. I think I could do it in a 10:30 pace realistically, which would be what? An hour and 3 minutes, about an hour and 4 minutes, which is not a bad time, but would be one of my slower times. We're going 2 miles this morning, but Stella's still under the bed. But she hears this packet of cheese, she'll come running. Hi, girl! This is the speed we're working with this morning. Do we just need to walk? We just don't seem to want to go any faster than this. When we try to go faster, you're just back there. We're gonna walk for a little bit. She picked up the pace once she realized we were going towards home and not away from it. It is Wednesday before the race on Sunday, and I think that my body is starting to fight off a cold. So fingers crossed that this passes quickly and that I have 100% energy for Sunday. We made it. Today is the last run before the race, and it's only 1.5 miles, which feels very manageable to me since I have been fighting this cold. It's Friday, so I have 2 days before the race to improve. Tomorrow is definitely going to be a rest day to recover to hopefully be our best on Sunday. Let's do 1.5.
Cardiovascularly, I actually feel like this is my first week of running. It is very hard to breathe, but I did not train 5 weeks to be thwarted by the common cold a few days before my race. Totally blaming all these frequent stops on Stella. Yeah, not because I need them. Legs feel like lead weights.
Well, Stella, no one can say we didn't do it, even if we struggled more than we should have for week 5 of training. I'm gonna run this race though, even if it takes me 2 hours. See you on race day.
On Saturday, I was feeling 90% better, so of course I carb loaded and popped a NyQuil and went to bed early. I felt pretty good waking up on Sunday morning and was pretty confident that I would be able to perform at my best. For the first 2 miles, I was keeping a pretty close eye on my pace. After that, mentally, I just had to put my phone away and push forward. Mile 1 was my fastest pace at 9 minutes and 14 seconds, and then passing through the second mile is where most of the crowd and the people that were cheering were standing, so that gave me extra motivation, and I finished that mile at a 9:17 pace. And after feeling really exhausted that mile, I finished mile 3 at a 9:35 pace. I've run this race before, so I knew that mile 4 and mile 5 were some of the most difficult because they're slightly uphill, and I was actually able to push and get mile 4 to a 9:15 pace and mile 5 at a 9:24. At this point, I was in pain and pretty exhausted, but I knew that if I could push it for 50 minutes, that I could push it for 10 more, and I finished mile 6 at a 9:15 pace. I finished with a total time of 57 minutes and 50 seconds. Which means I have a new 10K personal record. I shaved off 1 minute and 2 seconds from last year's time and 11 seconds off my average pace. While I did not hit that 9-minute pace goal that I originally set out for myself, I am very happy with this new record of mine, and it's definitely something I can work towards in the future. My favorite thing about my times from this year and last year is that I actually had literally the exact same clock time, 59 minutes and 37 seconds. I just started further back this year, and so it took me an entire minute to get to the start line at the beginning of the race. And then a mile by mile comparison from this year to last year, because I'm a nerd. The only mile where I ran faster last year was the 3rd mile, which is the mile that I started to feel like I was dying at. But all of the rest of these miles, I ran faster than I did last year, and no part of this was easy. The training was not easy, getting out was not easy, running faster was not easy, but I am very proud that in the end I was able to mentally push myself to continue moving forward. So thank you for joining me along this 5-week journey of mine, and I will see you next time.